You know how they say, suffer in silence, let your success make the noise? No. If I suffer, I am going to make it loud. Everybody will know of my struggles. And you should do the same because our silence is not going to bring us any success. See, being silent has ruined my relationships, my school and college life, and has affected my work too. And this needs to stop for the coming generation. Okay, I sound like a grandma, but it has to happen. Just because we have a disorder that impairs the way we think, act, behave, speak, work, study, etc., is not our fault, and we should always get the right support and the accommodations for it. So, if you have ever sat in a classroom feeling lost, restless, or totally overwhelmed, you are not alone. We have all been through that. ADHD makes school and college 100 times harder, and India's education system is not really built to benefit neurodivergent brains. Hi, I'm Vanshita. Here in this channel, we talk about ADHD, mental health, and everything neurodivergence. And I cater to specifically an Indian audience, but no matter where you're from, this is a safe space to be you, to fully unmask, and to talk about what matters. So today we will be talking about how ADHD affects students in India and what you can do to survive it. I will also touch down on accommodations. Yes, we kind of technically have some rights, and also how you can advocate for yourself. So let's get into it. To start off, studying with ADHD might feel like you're trying to watch TV, but someone is constantly changing the channel. Very frustrating, right? One second you're paying attention, and the next you're daydreaming about something really weird. And deadlines? They're just vague suggestions until it's 2 a.m. and you are speed writing your assignment that was due last week. And don't even get me started on the just focus advice. Because if I could, I definitely would. My brain jumps in between like 569 thoughts, like it's got an addiction of just, jumping to the next thought. And I cannot keep up with any of it. And the worst nightmare? Exam season. Almost everything that we struggle with our ADHD is required in an exam. Memory. Shit. You need to focus and sit still in one place for 3 hours straight. And funny enough, I used to drop pencils, not to cheat, but just to be able to get up from my seat because it was just too much. I would just get so restless. And then there is the time pressure, and we anyway struggle with managing time. That's something that is like my wildest dream, to complete a paper on time. Because I would zone out mid-paper and I would start daydreaming very unrelated shit. I would start humming. In a couple of exams, I have even dozed off and the invigilator had to come and wake me up. And if any of these sounds familiar, congratulations. That's how our ADHD brain normally works. And no, it's not because we are lazy or something, it's just because our brains process information differently. And I know it feels near to impossible to be able to ace this, but there are some strategies and ways that you can take up which will help you sail through this journey a little bit smoother. Now, I can't guarantee that this is going to work for you or not because it's very subjective how your brain works and what kind of strategies they like. Also, from my personal experience, what I've noticed is that I get pretty much bored from a single strategy or a hack or something very soon. Like 2 months it would work for me and then it won't. I constantly need to change to the next best hack or next strategy so that my brain can keep up because my dopamine gets exhausted very soon. So I'm just gonna run you through a couple of things that I've done in my school life or college life when I did not know I had ADHD, but it did help me to navigate everything a little better. For starters, and this is the hardest, is that you have to change your mindset that studying is not suffering. And it's very difficult to, think that or get into that, perspective when studying is literally suffering. But you need to kind of gaslight yourself into thinking that you actually enjoy it or that it's a fun activity. To make it like a game. For example, if I complete this chapter, is the next level of a game and then I might get a reward or I might treat myself with something. And so once you have gamified your syllabus, especially the boring subjects like maths and physics, because they're very repetitive and require a lot of numbers and remembering formulas, you can also involve your friends, do group studies where you're also, kind of playing a game, but you're actually studying. And it did help me in my board exams a lot. I used to do that with my siblings. They were younger to me, but they would study theirs, I would study mine, and then we would just be like, who's going to complete their chapter first? We'll get to have this sweet or something like that. So, I'm not sure if you're going to find a group for it or not, but you can try. There are also a lot of online study groups for ADHD and neurodivergent folks. So you might want to look at those and join one of those. Other than this, what you can do is you can also, take up some techniques like the Pomodoro ones, which is studying for 25 minutes, taking a 5-minute break. And this does not work for everyone because what I realized from this was that when I was taking the 5-minute break, sometimes I just would not want to take the break because I am in a hyper-focus mode where I'm studying for 25 minutes straight and I still want to study more. But the alarm would then distract me and then the flow would just break. Again, in a lot of breaks, I would also extend it. I would be like, just 5 more minutes, and if I'm watching something or if I've allowed myself to like binge scroll something, I would just keep on doing that and keep on turning off the alarms or snoozing it. So it did not work out for me, but for some people it does. You can just try and see what works for you. Also, I think it's a well-known misconception that ADHD brains does not like structure. We love structure. What we hate is pressure. So for example, if you make yourself a routine that I have to wake up, brush my teeth, drink water, then go to school, vagera, and you like allot yourself time slots for it, it is giving you structure, but it's also kind of pressure and it's repetitive, so it gets boring. So what you can do is you do not have to really assign yourself time slots. The things that are time bound, like you have to reach school on time or you have to go to a certain class on time, or if you have a paper, then they have the time thing attached to it. You can't do anything about it. But other than that, study and all of these, you can just give yourself the squares. Okay, these are the things that I want to do. And then I'll act according to my mood. So for example, if I've had my lunch and now I was supposed to study according to my routine, but I don't feel like it, I want to take a small nap, do it. Give yourself that freedom to do what you want to do so that your brain is also fully occupied in whatever you're doing and not kind of forcing yourself to do something, because that really does not work. You will just try to study, but you're feeling sleepy, you want to take a nap, or if you want to like play a game, but you're forcing yourself to do something else like studying or anything, your brain will just not cooperate and you will just waste that time away. But do not just go away that the whole day of watching TV, because that can also happen. We can go astray a lot of times because we're just chasing the dopamine again and again. Video games and Instagram and all of those scroll worthy things does that to us. So try to make sure that the distractions that you have, you are binding yourself, okay, I'm not gonna do more than this, to switch things up, because that can be a challenge for ADHD brains. We tend to, really struggle with transitions. For example, if you are showering, getting out of the shower can be really difficult. If you are in your room and want to shower, getting in the shower can be really difficult. So what you can do is you can make a mental timer like a game. So for example, you give yourself 5 seconds. I have 5 seconds to quickly get dressed or to quickly get undressed or hop in the shower or hop out of the shower. And this does not work a lot of times with me, but sometimes it does. So for example, if I'm snoozing in the morning and I really have to go somewhere or I really want to do something, I would just say, okay, Manchita, I'm giving you 5 seconds. If you do not do it, you are a loser. Or loser is a strong word. Anything, make it up. Whatever works for you. You give yourself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Probably by you come to 2, I think you might do it, because I tend to do that a lot, but sometimes it also does not work. So don't get your hopes very high, but you can always keep on switching between these strategies. Some days it might work, some days it might not. So keep like a basket of your strategies and just pick whatever works for you that day. This I'm not speaking for everyone, but I really like it when something is visually aesthetic. So if it's like cute and nice, and if it has a lot of pop colors and stuff, I tend to like get more interested in doing the task. So instead of like the boring old plain notebooks, I use scrapbooks to do my actual study notes. So the creative sketchbooks are like different kind of colors and stuff. I used to use that for like math and physics and other boring subjects, so that I would want to, just for the visuals of it, actually study or solve a few problems. So you can use like glitter pens for your study. You do not really need to use those only in your art class. Okay, you can get creative with it anytime you want, and that has really helped me, because I would just cut pictures out of different books and paste it in my actual math notebook. Like not my classwork copy, but my homework copy and my rough copy would be filled with like stickers and quotes, and I would just draw emojis here and there and make some stories around what I'm studying, what I'm practicing the math for. If it says 500 mangoes and subtract 300 mangoes, I would draw like a mango, and it would just kind of keep me engaged in the activity and not make me zone out every few seconds. So that is really helpful. Other than that, you can use mind maps, you can use highlighters, you can use sketch pens, glitter pens, whatever you feel like using. Make it seem like something that your brain would be interested in doing. So the goal with every strategy here is to make your brain go in flow with the work you have to do, right? You don't have to go against the tide, you just have to flow with it. So if your brain feels, oh, this feels easy, this feels nice, this feels interesting, then just give it what it wants, right? Because in the end, you will get what you want as well. Other than that, about the memory thing, I think one very big mistake, very grave mistake I've done all my school and college life is telling myself that I don't really need to note it down, I will remember it later. No, you will not. Please note everything down, the minutest of things that you probably think you might remember, you might even remember, but do not take a risk of it just fading away from your memory, because we do not have a lot of hard disk space, okay? Just remind yourself that a lot of times, as much as you can. You need a lot of external reminders. Tell a friend to, ring you up if there's there's something important and just check with you, or get into a group form of setting where you kind of do the projects together, even if it's individual, so that somebody is there to keep a check on you, because you can just lose track of what you have to submit, what the professors have given you, what the teachers are asking out of you. Even if you cannot find a peer group, you can always tell your mom about it. Like the same day your school or college assigns you an assignment, come home and tell your mom that okay, I have this due by say 4 days. If you have to give it in a week, tell her 4 days, so that she can start pestering you after 4 days. And this is something I'm really grateful to my mama, because she would always remember things for me. I would just tell her that I might forget, so please remind me, and she would do that. Again, I was talking about not just accommodations, and strategies do not just have to be something you have to tackle all alone. It can also involve the people around you that love you, that you love back. So yeah, you can involve your parents, your siblings, your friends, your peer group, anybody that is helpful to you. Just reach out to them and do that work mutually, and it gets so much better. But if you are a loner and you do not really want to involve other people in this, you can always just set Google Calendar invites to yourself, send mails to yourself, pop notifications with whatever you have due, set up a lot of alarms, not just one, so that it gets impossible to ignore them. I know that alarms can sometimes just become background noise for us, so having something that pops up again and again on your phone just makes it so much easier. I do this for my work today, every day, and I really wish I did this back in my school days. Would have really saved my ass a lot of times. So yeah, that's it. Have like sticky notes, have highlighters, Google Calendar, have a to-do list right in front of you when you wake up. So you just look at it first thing in the morning and you just remind yourself again and again. Other than that, one small hack for the to-do list is that to-do lists really did not work for me a lot of times. I would just forget looking at them. I would just look at them and get overwhelmed. So what I realized was that I was giving myself a lot of work. Okay. So for example, instead of saying type this project out or write this project out, I would give myself steps in the to-do list itself. For example, for one specific project, I need to do 5 steps. I would just start with number 1, open laptop. Number 2, do your research. Number 3, note down the pointers. Number 4, write it down on paper. Number 5, put it in a file or do whatever you want to do to end the project completely. And it really did help me because, some days I would just come to third level as well to doing the research and noting the points down. Although I would write it down later, maybe 2 days later. But for now, I think majority of my work would be done like that. But instead of just looking at that, science project, it's too much work. So to avoid that, you can definitely just break down all your goals into simpler steps so that you just get a little bit more farther each day if you cannot wrap all of it in one day. And that really, really helps. And now we come to setting the mood right. No, we really need to find our perfect study vibe because that makes a very big difference. Some people can focus better with music. Some people need complete silence. So you really need to see what, is working the best for you. Whether you like some lo-fi music playing in the background, whether you want certain types of lights, whether you can study with the one big light or whether you need smaller lamps here and there if you're studying on a screen. Some people can also focus better when they're chewing gum or fidgeting with something. I did not know about fidget toys back then, but now I do. And this is an infinity cube and it's just so seamless and so nice. You would not even notice it's there after a point. With one hand, you can just keep playing with it. And this helps me get through meetings so much, so much. I cannot even explain. I have 3 of these. One always stays in my work bag. Wherever my laptop goes, this goes with it. The other one is in my desk, right in my home. And the third one stays by my bedside. So for example, if I am studying something, say reading a book or talking to someone and I want to not zone out or distract myself with random noises or not pick up my phone every once in a while, this is the perfect thing. A lot of my friends, even the ones who are not neurodivergent, love this. There are other squishy toys as well, some more like fidget spinners that you can spin. There are some tickers as well that you can just do tick, 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 tick. There are some button ways as well if you want to just push down or press on something. And there are lots of fidget toys. You can just go and search for one. And I also have an Amazon storefront link. I'll put it in the description also, but it's in my profile if you want to check it out under my link tree. And there I have made a lot of sections with a lot of different things, ADHD friendly tools and stuff, where I have curated some fidget toys that I have personally used and loved. So you can check that out as well. And other than that, you can also try chewing gum. You can also have mint or something like that, which will just keep you activated and refreshed. You can also have a sipper bottle with you and keep sipping water because it really does help. It is a very boring thing, I know, but it is absolutely helpful. Just walk your ways around and see whatever works the best for you. Now that brings me to exams. And if you're anywhere like me who zones out during exams and starts doodling in the question paper and sometimes in the answer paper that gets it disqualified, There are some things that you can definitely do. First of all, you can just highlight the keywords in your questions so that you are staying on track. And also, if your school allows it, you can ask for a separate quiet room or some extra time for an exam. And I know it sounds too good to be true, but ADHD is recognized in India under the RPWD Act, which is the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. And this is especially beneficial for anyone who's giving board exams for like your 10th standard or your 12th standard, because I would have loved to have some extra time. And I really wish I would have known this back then when I was studying and really dreading giving my boards. But if you are watching this video right on time, you should definitely do this. But here's a catch. Not all schools have any idea about this. Like they have no idea this section or this right exists. So you might have to educate themselves, make them aware. So what you can do is ask your doctor to write a note where, they can mention that your disorder is really impacting the way you're studying and you might really do with that extra time or a separate room. So please just talk to your doctor about this. Just talk to your teachers as well. If it works out, that is amazing. But for boards, you will definitely get it because all of the central board examinations do recognize this. And some key points to remember if you're going to go through this process is that you have to have a medical record for it. So your doctor needs to mention that you have ADHD. So get a written note from them, and you will need to submit a valid medical certificate from a recognized medical professional who has diagnosed your ADHD and will support the fact that you need accommodations for your exams. And the amount of extra time you get is generally 30 or 60 minutes over the normal time, and it depends on your exam duration. So if it's a 3-hour exam, I think you get a 1 hour extra. If it's like a 1.5 hour exam, you get like half an hour extra. So you'll have to really contact your board and see what their process is. And to add to that, you will also have to reach out to your respective board a little bit prior to your exams and just figure out the procedure, whatever documents you require. I'm not really sure of the entire process because I've not been through it, but this is whatever I could find on the internet and some medical professionals whose clients have gone through it. Just do everything in advance so that there is no scope of any fault anywhere. And I really wish you all the best if you are going to do this, and let me know in the comments if you do and whether you knew about this earlier or not, because I was so amazed when I learned about this. Like, where was this information when I needed it so much? But again, I know there are a lot of other people who will definitely benefit from this information, so please go ahead and use it to your best. Even if you don't need that extra time, just take it so that we can spread more awareness, so that the teachers and the board and everybody is more aware of, oh, something is happening, somebody is getting extra time. I just want you to go rock that. Just do it. Okay, I think I got a little bit too excited, but I mean, I am a little excited. So I would really want to see a lot more kids coming up and taking this right and accommodation for themselves, because come on, we struggle in so many things we could do with a little bit extra time. And I think mostly all of us would really just benefit from it in reality. And I know you will get hit with, oh, what even is ADHD? You're making an excuse, you're just lazy and dumb. First of all, take a deep breath. You don't really have to turn this negative. Just explain to them in a very calm manner that, it is a neurological disorder. Educate them about what ADHD is, what neurodivergence is, and you can put your points across like it is medically recognized and you get an official diagnosis from a practicing medical professionals. You have medicines available in the market for this, which means it is a disorder that needs support, right? Whether it's through medicines, whether it's via accommodations, whether it's just via a little bit recognition, validation, and a little bit support from your loved ones and your teachers and other elders in your life. And also, if you can convince them, rather make them aware and educate them about it, you can also ask them alternative methods to submit your assignments, like longer deadlines or something like that. I mean, this is something you have to figure out on your own personally with your teachers and how your institution works. But these are just vague suggestions that you can take up and could do something with it. I mean, if I knew about the RPWD back in my school or college time, I would have definitely taken it down with my professors and teachers. And if it makes you feel any better, I'm actually not done with my college yet. I was actually supposed to graduate in 2023, but I missed my flight on the day of my exam, and then I reached very late. My college did not allow me to sit in the exam, although there was like a 1.5 hour window still left, and I knew that I could just, write 2 answers and pass my exam, but they did not allow me. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll give it next year. Next year was 2024, last year. On the night before my exam, I studied. Also, when I was studying for this exam, I could tell the difference my medicines were making. I could really focus, okay? I did not sit down to study at 2 a.m. I actually sat down at 9 p.m. and till I think 1 a.m. I did wrap up like 40% of my syllabus, and I was so happy about it. I was so bummed because this was the first time ever in my life that by 1 a.m. the night before my exam, I was done with 40% of my syllabus. This has never happened. Never ever happened. I mean, never happened after my teacher stopped beating me. That was like 5th grade. The day of my exam, I dress up, I go to the institution, to the exam center. I first go to my professor and I'm like, okay, where do I sit? Because I was a little bit, I don't know, embarrassed or something. Like, which class should I go to? And then all of these faces after so long. Plus, I'm here to give my backlog paper. And I mean, not everybody knows I missed a flight. They would just think I failed it. Although that would not really affect me much, but still it did a little bit. So I went to my professor and he was like, Shweta, are you giving your exam this year? I'm like, yes. And he said, I did not see your exam form in. I'm like, what do you mean my exam form in? And he said, where is your admit card? And I'm like, what admit card? And then it hit me. I had not filled my exam form. I had no roll number. I had no seat to be in the exam. And then I requested my professor, can you please just, do something about it? Because I mean, I have come from 1,000 miles across to give this exam. I cannot just do this again next year. And he was like, there's nothing we can do right now. The exam is starting in like 15 minutes. And I was like, okay. I was so embarrassed. I wanted the ground to like just open and gobble me up. But yeah, it was a walk of shame from like the staff room back to my parking lot. And then I came home and then I explained the situation to my parents. And yeah, I think it was just a little bit serious for a while because I was sad about it. And I think a couple days in, my family started roasting me for it. Like, are you gonna get graduated ever? That's still a running joke in my family. But my exams are like a couple months away from now. And I really, really hope that I do everything right this time. I really hope. And again, the exam filling form was not my fault really, because all my college life, I had my best friend to do this for me, okay? All of my exams, she was the one who would drag me, Kivanshika, we have to go and fill the exam form, pay the exam fee, do this, that. She was the guide all my college life. And because this was a backlog paper and she was done with her graduation, so she did not really know the timelines and the dates for the exam filling and the fees and everything. So that is the reason why I just forgot. I mean, that's just ADHD. Why am I even saying it's not my fault? And I also know for sure my best friend is going to text me this year again, Kivanshika, please fill your exam form. She has been following up with me since the last 5 months or so. So I love you so much if you're watching this. Moving on. So yeah, convincing your teachers, getting that extra time, finding alternative ways to submit your assignments and all of that. And I really hope you rock this, because you're not lazy or dumb if you're struggling with your study or education because you have ADHD. It's just a disorder that literally impairs the way you process everything. I would really love it if you could share, comment, like, do everything, because ADHD in India is barely talked about and I'm here on a mission to change that. And I would love to see you come on board on this journey with me. And I will also come up with more ADHD survival hacks because we're literally living in the wild. So if you feel you could benefit from that, hit that subscribe button also. And that's it for today. And I'll see you on the next one.